I think this is probably the coolest ranger in terms of both combat and roleplay. It's my favourite subclass for the class, and it makes it a billion times cooler than it already is. You get combat abilities, extra damage, you get to yeet through planes just as bonus actions at 7th level. It's fucking rad. In terms of lore too, like you protect the plane that you reside on from extra planar assault from all the big bad evil guys that dare come from Mechanus or Pandemonium. You can just, how rude of you, and then you become their worst nightmare. They find portals, cast spells, and they go yeet very freaking fast. And at later levels they can basically teleport 3 to 4 times around. Fucking badass if you ask me. Hello and welcome to Subclass, where we're going to talk about a ranger's subclass. And we're not going to incessantly roast how situational some of the features are, because any class in D&D is amazing for its own reasons in terms of roleplay and game mechanics. If you think the ranger is bad, then you aren't creative. That was just a personal assault towards maybe half of my audience. Here's my one bad statement about a ranger. They expect you to use a bow a lot. That's it. That's the only negative thing I have to say about it. Now, a Horizon Walker becomes Geralt. No, we're not talking about the Monster Hunter archetype. You are like Geralt because you don't like portals. Funny reference, am I right? Nobody is allowed in or out of planar portals unless you say so, and if they're chill. Let's talk business, shall we? When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you're gonna get a list of neat spells that you can add to your spell list. They don't count as ranger spells for you, but you'll always have them prepared. So when you choose the archetype at 3rd level, you'll get access to the 1st level spell, Protection from Evil and Good. This is basically you buff yourself or an ally from one particular foe, be it anything extraplanar really, as long as it's not a humanoid or an ooze or something like that. Fae, fiends, elementals, undead, celestials, probably more. A lot of things. And they help you. This is a very useful ability that keeps you pretty resistant to most creature types, basically giving them a middle finger because they didn't come from your plane. Your 5th level grab is Misty Step, a bonus action 30-foot teleport, which is freaking cool. It's one of my players' favourite spells because it's a bonus action dash, basically, for most of them. And it does cost a 2nd level spell slot, but it's a teleport, which means no opportunity attacks. You can go past and through people and shit. It's neat. With the 9th level spell, you're going to be able to grab Haste. Haste is one of my favourite spells in the universe ever because you get double movement speed, +2 to AC, and a bonus action, not a bonus action, an extra action on your turn to take an attack, a dash, a disengage. A few specific ones, but my god, it's cool. We're really leaning to the whole you're fast thing. Turning over to 13th level, you can do fucking Banishment. I talked about Banishment in a Spell Spotlight video. If you'd like to go and check that out, definitely fits the archetype. Finally, at 17th level, you're going to have access to the 5th level spell Teleportation Circle. More portals, more teleporting, more bamfing. Finding circles, and you teleport from a big ass circle to anywhere really, as long as you know it. So sometimes they'll have less of an effect, depending on your familiarity with the area. It's fun as fuck. Your 3rd level ability is Detect Portal. You get an action that you can use to detect any planar portal within 1 mile of you. The ability tells you the closest one, and it tells you the exact distance and direction of it, so that you can find that thing and track it down and protect the material plane. This isn't amazing, but as with most rangers, I would recommend talking to your dungeon master and saying, hey, I intend on playing this type of ranger with this specific thing. Could you perhaps make me seem cooler? It might seem a bit weird, but genuinely ask your DM to perhaps add some elements that would make your character more appropriate to use in that setting. For instance, if you're going for a Horizon Walker, you might want to perhaps request your DM to do some extra planar enemies and stuff like that, people who can pour in and out. Some people who have access to the gate spell, which I believe might work. I'm not 100% sure, I'll have to read up on gate a little more. But give him a request for that, so that you can be a bit more effective. Especially when you become the coolest ranger in the universe, when you're dungeon delving through a mind flayer lair and they keep getting a bunch of weird ass intellect devourers jumping out of somewhere and no one knows what, and you just use your action and you go, there. and there's a portal there, and you just block up the room that they're all coming from. This feature comes back on a short or long rest. Also at 3rd level, there's 3 things you get at 3rd level, including the spell. You get Planar Warrior. You can use a bonus action to target another creature within 30 feet of you, and your next attack on them deals force damage and an extra d8 of force damage. It scales up to, I believe, 2d8 at 17th level. My god, it's cool. Let's have a look, shall we? When you hit 11th level, it goes up to 2d8. So basically, at 3rd level, every turn, if you hit something that you've specifically targeted, you're going to be dealing force damage. All of the damage from the attack becomes force, which basically means you can bypass a lot of those pesky resistances that the DM might start pulling at you around 5th level, when you guys don't have a fully decked out kit of various magic items that can help you prevent resistances such as bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. Plus, force just makes sense because it's portal shit. I love this ability because at 3rd level you could potentially deal a d8 plus whatever your weapon damage is, a minimum of a d6, hopefully, perhaps even a d8, a d10, or 2d6, or a d12. Plus your strength or dexterity, maybe more depending on specific equipment. That's a lot of freaking damage. 7th level, Ethereal Step. You may think that being able to cast a 7th level spell as a bonus action instead of an action at level 7 is very freaking broken, but they shift this around a lot to make it work. You can use a bonus action to cast Etherealness, meaning you can basically become untouchable for a turn as you transport into the ethereal plane. And you cannot be touched, and you can't touch anything else. In a bad spot, cast this and just start walking through people, and then you turn out on the other end. Yeah, you can't optionally deactivate it, so it's a sort of thing where you're gonna have to do your multi-attack and then run. And that's what it's kind of for, because the spell ends at the end of the current turn, so no crazy shit. Super useful. Comes back on, I believe, a short or long rest. Now, 11th level, you get my favorite ability from this subclass, which is Distant Strike. You go sicko mode on a swarm of enemies, and you basically hit all of them really freaking fast, and you keep teleporting between them. When you take the attack action on your turn, before each individual attack, you can teleport up to 10 feet anywhere. Also, if you swing at 2 different creatures, whether you hit or miss, and there's something else within 10 feet of you, you can vroom, teleport over to there and hit them with a 3rd extra attack that doesn't cost a bonus action or anything, just part of your attack action. I fucking love this because you can be like so creative with it, and you are basically untouchable. Nothing can touch you. You can teleport behind them, hit them, then teleport to their mate and hit them, and then you're out of range of someone else. And you just keep hitting things, and you keep teleporting. You kind of become Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. Tulok the Barbarian did an amazing build that I initially heard about this Ranger subclass from. It's freaking cool. Tulok, you're very cool. Here's your final ability, the level 15 one. You get Spectral Defense. Not anything extremely awesomely amazing in comparison to teleport attacking. But when you take damage from any attack, you can use your reaction to become resistant to all of the damage from that attack. This is kind of like a slightly better uncanny dodge, because like you don't need to see the thing that just hit you. I really like this ability, but it comes in far too late in my opinion. It's basically for a moment that you get hit real hard and you yeet into the ethereal plane for a second, and it doesn't do as much damage because it only partially hit you. Like, subscribe and hit the bell. Let us know what you want from the channel, because we care. We care so much. We actually care. Can you please comment and like and subscribe? Laura's gonna kill me if you don't, man. Please. If you're going for a Horizon,